Treating your students like VIPs from the moment that they join your music studio is one of the most powerful ways that we can increase client retention. But who has the time to figure out all this stuff when you are juggling all of the admin tasks, all of the lesson prep, all of the things, right? All of those different hats that you wear. So we know, like we set that intention in our hearts that when a new person joins our studio, we want them to feel special. We want them to feel seen. We want them to know where to find the things and to feel like they're comfortable and that they understand what's going on. But oftentimes some of those little like welcome messages slip through the cracks, whether they don't get sent or they get sent and they don't get seen. Whatever the reason is, it's time today to really sit down and think about how are you going to roll out the red carpet for your music students, so that they can really feel special and that you can create that great bond from the first moment that they walk into your studio or show up in your Zoom room. Hello, welcome to the broadcast, everybody. My name is Sara Campbell, and I am a music studio coach, business strategist, marketing strategist, and I show up here every single Wednesday where we talk about business and all the things about business inside of our studios, where we dig into the marketing that we can put in place for our music studios so that they can grow and we can increase a sense of community. And we talk about the mindsets that we need in place for those things. So if you are new to the broadcast, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm a little bit excited today because this is the first time that I'm getting to broadcast from my new computer, which makes me feel very fancy. So I hope everything goes smoothly today. I know that earlier when I was running a training, I did find some glitches here and there, but I'm excited to be able to come to you from a new device here, and I actually get to wear earrings for the first time in a while because I've been having to wear my headphones since my speaker on my old Mac Pro was broken. All right, hey there. If you're here, be sure to say hello. I see Cheryl is here. I see Pete. I see Laura. I see Julie. Julie says, "I bet you love your new computer." You know, Julie, you were one of the people who inspired me to make this change this year because I know you were like, "I love my iMac so much," and yes, I do. I really love it. So we're going to be going through how we can roll out the red carpet. I'm going to go through 5 specific tips that will help you create, dun, 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 dun. Here's the magic word today. If I can find it, the magic word is onboarding processes, right? Onboarding processes. Ooh, they're so exciting. Okay, they don't really feel exciting, but we're going to make them exciting today. So we're going to be talking about how we can onboard our students in a way that makes not just the students, but also the parents in our studios so that they feel like they've gotten the VIP treatment. They've gotten the red carpet rolled out for them. And let's talk about why we want to do this. But before we get into the why, I want to welcome everybody and remind you that we love to learn out loud here. We love to learn out loud. So if there is something that you hear today in this broadcast that makes you go, ooh, yeah, I need, this is part of the onboarding process that I might be missing, or, ooh, that's a fantastic tip. Give us a hashtag takeaway and let us know what that is so that we can learn together. And these takeaways are they're important for 2 reasons in my brain. 2 reasons. One, it's helping you set that intention. So if you are wanting to make a shift in your studio and to make better business practices, just putting that out in writing and saying that, yeah, this is important, that is helping you set that intention so that you can really actually do the thing. And 2, it's fantastic for the teachers who are watching along live with us here or who are watching this video later on, and they're seeing all these takeaways come up, and it's just going to help us really learn out loud together. So make sure to give us your takeaways. I see good morning. Good morning, Patricia. Nice to see you. Thank you. I'm loving the sweatshirt too. It's nice and cozy. I think we're going to be out of sweatshirt season here soon enough. Hopefully. Hello there, Jessica and Brenda and Linda. It's good to see you. 2 Lindas. Nice to see you both. All right. If you have a teacher friend who you think could benefit from this. Maybe you are a multi-teacher studio and you want to be passing this along to your VA or one of the people that works in your office, or if you have a teacher friend down the street who you would like to support, make sure that you let them know about this right now. You can sprinkle this on your timeline, or send this over to your music studio community and let them know that this is here for them every single week doing the things. Oh, good morning. Barbara's here with her coffee from Saskatchewan. Good to hear that you're here. Hi there, Elizabeth. Nice to see you as well. All right, so let's talk about why this is important. Onboarding is something that I love to think about for so many different reasons. One, because, I'm in many different groups where, the onboarding process is really important because people have made an investment in, coaching, or if they've made an investment in, continuing education, and welcoming people into a group and making sure that they feel comfortable, that they know where all the things are, where they can access things, and making them feel excited about being a part of this new community. It's a really powerful way to welcome them in, and it's also a powerful way to increase retention. So one of the reasons, some reasons that people might not stay in a studio or might not stay in a group is because they feel lost and they don't know how to get the most out of their investment. So by building out a great onboarding system, we are not just welcoming people in and rolling out the red carpet and saying like, hey, welcome, we love you, well, join our group, do the things. We are also giving them the tools that they need in order to succeed. And so that's our intention in building out this red carpet, this onboarding system. Hey there, Tara. Hi there, Suzanne. Suzanne's tuning in from Superior, Canada. Awesome. Awesome. Nice to see you today. So we're going to go through 5 different steps in building an onboarding process. And I've made these steps kind of specific, but also pretty general so that you can apply them to whatever type of system that you're using, because I know not everybody has like automated emails or anything like that. So I've made these steps pretty simple to follow no matter what type of your system you're using. So grab a notepad and a pen if you want to take some notes with us, and get your fingers ready for some takeaways. All right. I have set up the Savvy Sara bot. She's ready to go. So if you want to drop an onboarding below here. Oh, I forgot to turn that off. Sounds like a woodpecker in here. All right. If you want to drop an onboarding below, then the chat bot will set you up. She's going to send you a reminder with those 5 tips. She'll also send you a way that you can opt in for notifications via Messenger for next week's broadcast. So make sure you get a hold of that goodness. And let's get to tip number 1. You know what's kind of funny? I realize like when I wear this sweatshirt, I'm starting to blend in with everything. Maybe next week I might switch colors. All right. Oh, Amy, thank you. I really appreciate that. That makes me feel very loved. Thank you. All right, let's get to tip number 1 in building out a good onboarding system. All right. So tip number 1 here, boom, show and tell. Now, when we welcome people into our studio, we're welcoming in not just the student, but also the parent as well. And we want to make sure that they understand where all the things are. Now, it can, sometimes when we do that, like that, it looks like a big long list, right? Just a whole bunch of text, or it's, handing them policies. And that's not really what I mean by onboarding. So what we want to do here is we want to create welcome materials, whether that is an actual physical thing that we hand them, right? Or if it's a series of emails, we want to have materials that show them how to get the most out of their experience with us as a teacher. And so we want to give them the tools that they can be successful with. Now, yes, we can just tell them all the things. And if you've ever experienced, I'm going to share a little story here, and I want to know how you guys feel about this, if this is something that you've experienced. Let's say that you welcome in a new student, and in that first lesson, maybe it's the interview lesson, maybe it's the actual first lesson they've paid and all that stuff. In that first lesson, you hand them a 5-page studio policy and say, here's the studio policy, like, if, and maybe if you have them sign it or whatever, read this over and we'll, let's go. And then you just start teaching, because the teaching's the fun part, right? That's the part that you want to get to. That's what you feel as though they've signed up for, but they've signed up for more than that. Right? They've signed up for an experience and being part of your community. And one of the things that we need to do in welcoming in those new students to that experience is making sure that they have all the tools that they need. So instead of just handing them a studio policy, as I've done many, 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 many times in the past, and assuming that they're going to read those things, here's a step that you can do. If you've ever been guilty of just like handing off the studio policy and saying, hey, read this, it's okay to say, yeah, I've done that. Okay, so what we want to do here is learn how to demonstrate, like, here are all the things inside of my studio. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to sit down and you're going to make a list of the things that you think are really important for people to know about. All right? Make a list of, where are the systems that they need to get into. Like, if you have an attendance system, if you have like a scheduling system, whatever type of software you use, make a list of that, right? If you have important policies that you think like, okay, I really need to hone in on these so that people understand the procedures of how the studio runs, make a list of that. Now, it can't be everything in your studio policy. Yes, you wrote that policy for a reason. However, there are specific things inside of that policy that you probably want to make sure that people understand. Like, if this happens, then this is how we respond, right? I'm thinking specifically about makeup lessons. Is that the first thing that jumped into your mind? I bet it is. All right. I see. Yes. Oh, yeah. I've done that with the policy. Jessica says, yep. Okay. So we want to be able to show and tell people. So Julie just like gave away the thing, and I love it. And Julie, I'm so glad you're here. So she says, I'm going to start doing Loom videos to show people how to use my music stuff and Tanara, #newskills. This was something that Julie used for the first time yesterday in an email that we were going back and forth. Loom, if you've never heard of Loom, okay, I'm going to change your life right now. Loom is a free tool that you can use to create videos where you can show people on a browser or show people on your desktop how to do something. And it's really cool because, and those of you who are in, do we have any social media savvy studio people here? If you're in the social media course with me, give me a social media down below. If you're inside of that course, you know that I use Loom all the time. That's how I create the tutorials inside of that. I also use Loom to show parents how to log in to my music staff and how they can get the most out of logging into that program, and how they can navigate to, like, here's how you cancel a lesson. Here's where you can find your invoices. Here's where you can find your lesson notes. It's so good, right? Julie says, my life has been changed. And yes, Tara's like, Loom is awesome. It is. It's so good. Loom is my favorite. I see a bunch of social medias there. So you guys know, like, I love Loom. It's my favorite thing in the world. So use Loom to create videos so that you can show people how things work. And you know what? You don't even have to get that fancy. If you want to just make a video of yourself and talk people through a process, you have the tools that you need to do that, right? Grab your cell phone, make a little video like, hey, well, do the little thing, do the little video thing, and say, hey, I'm so excited that you've joined the studio. Here are a couple of things that I think are really important for me to go over so that you can get the most out of your experience, right? So there's me like doing my fake video. Okay, the takeaway, use Loom. Stephanie says that she will be looming soon. Elizabeth said, I just shared Loom with a cousin for her work. Awesome. Excellent. Linda says social media. Yay. Hey, social media people, those in the social media course, after this broadcast today, Google My Business stuff is coming your way. So get excited because it's going to be good. And I have some updates that are going to happen inside of the course because Facebook has just recently changed a few things. So I'll probably be doing like a quick live in there. All right. So the first thing is show and tell. Don't just tell people the things, show them the things. All right. That's the first tip, because a lot of people are more visual, right? Like, they're going to respond better to video than they are to, just a list of all the things that they need to know. Because let's be honest. And you probably feel this too, like information overload sometimes, right? And we know that parents nowadays are especially in that place. This last year has been information overload times a million. And so we want to make this process as easy as we can for them. So if you can like make an onboarding system that has a few quick videos that you can send to people, they're going to absolutely love it. All right, here's tip number 2. Templates are your friends. So let's talk about templates and how we use them. When I am onboarding, I haven't onboarded any music students in a while because, you know, I'm spending most of my time working with you guys. But when I'm onboarding a new client into my coaching programs, I have a series of templates that I can pull from. And these templates help me save a lot of time. So the way I use these templates is that I've actually set them up as templates inside of my Gmail account. But it's, you know, before I figured out that I could do that, it was as simple as having a list of things that needed to be told to them and a timeline of when it needs to go out. So that could be like using a Word document, a Google Doc, whatever it is, like having like a template for like, here's the first email, that first welcome email when somebody joins the studio. And in this welcome email, I explain X, Y, and Z. So you have that template. You build out that template, you write it out, you know, put little blanks where the people, you know, where you're going to put names or where you're going to personalize things. So like build out a template for what's that first email look like? What does that second email look like? What does that third email look like? Right? Build out the template so that you're not wasting time spending 30 minutes writing that email every single time a student has to come in, because that's powerful brain space that you need for other things other than writing the same email over and over again. Julie says, I love Google Forms. Those are time savers. Ooh, yes. So Google Forms are a great way to get information. Laura says her takeaway is that she's going to up her showing game. Awesome. Yeah, show and tell. Tara says taking the time to set up templates so you save time in the long run. Yeah. And I love that you bring up that point, Tara, because I think there can be resistance in spending time doing that because it feels like you're making like an extra task for yourself. But think for a second, how many students you're going to onboard in the next year. Okay? And consider that if it's taking you 30 minutes every single time you onboard a student and you've got 10 students that you're onboarding, that's 5 hours of your time. What if you sat down and spent 1 hour writing out those templates so the next time you had to onboard somebody, you could copy that template, right? Put it into an email, personalize it, and send it off in 2 minutes. Pretty fancy. Jessica says, I need to make templates. Yeah. Oh, great. Laura says, I have some templates, but I need to find a way to track where the client is in the onboarding process. Love that you brought that up because we're going to chat a little bit about how we can track that. Now, I don't want to make systems overly complicated because I think for the majority of us, like actually sending the email manually is okay. However, for those of you who have pretty big studios, or if you are an MTS, like a multi-teacher studio, right, then it's time to probably think about ways that you can automate these things. Tara says she uses Trello to track the onboarding process. Yeah, Trello can be a great way to do that. Laura, if you've never seen Trello, it's a cool tool where like you have these cards that you can move around and like check boxes that you can do. And so if you want to get fancy, something like Trello, you know, Asana, like all these things, Notion, all these fun things. But you could also keep it really simple. You could make, like, if you are more of a physical, like pen and paper kind of person, because I am kind of that way in many ways in my studio. Like I really like the physical act of writing things out. Have a clipboard that is dedicated to an onboarding process. And once you build out your templates, have like a little checkbox, like email number 1, email number 2, email number 3, all of those things. Make sure that you have a place where you can check them off. It's the same as doing something like Trello, but it's just a simpler process, right? Have a place where you can put the student's name and then have all the things that have to happen in that onboarding. So Yay. I see Elizabeth says, I love Trello. Dylan. Hey, Dylan, nice to see you. He says that this is next level savvy. Dylan is in our branding boot camp right now. I think we had a couple other branding boot campers who are here in the comments. I'm excited for our training on Friday. It's going to be good. We're talking about values and branding foundations. It's going to be great. All right. So build out those templates. Get intentional. Carve out some time in those admin hours and say, okay, I'm going to visit my onboarding process and think about writing out those templates. All right. For those of you who are going to be revisiting that part of your onboarding processes, give me a templates and set that intention. Put it out into the universe. All right, let's look at the third part. And this is going to be where I think it's going to kind of tap into what Laura said and somebody else. Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm missing the comment. So automate your process. Now, we can automate in fancy, savvy ways, and we can automate in easy ways. Let's go over both. So one way that we can automate an onboarding process is to use some type of an email delivery system. And, there's so many different types out there. Oh, look at all the templates down below. Yay! Jessica says templates. I have 2 new students this week. Congrats on the new students, Jessica. That's exciting. I see Patricia. Patricia is also in our branding bootcamp, and I see Linda saying templates. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. So how we can automate our process. So you can get fancy and you can use something like an email delivery system. So I use MailChimp. But it's what I have right now, and it's what I have the brain space to use right now. Eventually, I'm going to upgrade to a different system. However, using something like MailChimp can be pretty simple. MailChimp, ConvertKit, Constant Contact, ActiveCampaign. There's all types of different levels of these things. There are some free services that you can do as well. And what you can do with those services is that you can actually build out a series of emails that are delivered over a specific period of time, and you can personalize those emails with what they call placeholders, where you can put the name of the parent in and that kind of thing. So you could actually automate your process with something like that, right? So I am actually in the process of building out some automations in my email, right? So I do have a few automations in there. Like if you've ever downloaded one of the freebies that I have, you'll typically get a couple things from me. You'll get the freebie itself in an email, and then you'll also get like a welcome email to the email list, right? And those are sent out automatically. And I love what this does for me, because inside of those automations, like I'm able to create human connections and then have real conversations with people. Like I have a bunch of people who will join the email list and then respond to that first email and tell me about their studio. One of my favorite things, right? You can do this for your studio as well. Build out those templates, use some type of a system to schedule them, and get super fancy. Or let's get non-fancy, but still fancy, still savvy. Right? You can automate your things using your own email, right? It doesn't have to be something that you're paying for. It doesn't have to be a separate system. If you're a Gmail user, if you've never used the schedule option on Gmail, it's like such a powerful option that you can use. And it's something that you can use inside of your regular Gmail account, right? And actually, you know what? I'm going to screen share this because I can. And let me do this. I'm going to screen share, right? Here we go. So look at this. We have our, I created a new email, and then I would type your email and stuff, right? Put all your stuff there. Then instead of just pressing the blue send button, hey Pete, nice to see you. Yeah, we're getting non-fancy here. All right. What you can do, and actually let me take this guy off so you can see what I'm doing here. There's a couple of options, right? You can click the little arrow here and you can schedule send. Oh, I'd have to specify a person. So I'm going to send it to myself, Sara at savvymusicstudio.com. And I could schedule send this, and I can either use the suggested ones, or I can pick a date and time. And I can choose, okay, I want to send this tomorrow. I think morning is best. So let's go 8:26 a.m. And then you schedule send, right? So it's a simple way to get your process out there. Right. Let me grab this again. There we go. Yes, you can save email templates in Gmail too. It's so good. You can create a message and then you can save it as a template inside of your Gmail account. And it's just a great way to save time. Okay, so there's a question here. Karen asks, can you do that in Apple Mail? I don't know the answer to that, actually. A quick Google search to see, can you schedule emails in Apple Mail? My guess is that most email services are probably including that option nowadays, since it's so simple for them to build in, right? It's so simple. Boy, the lighting is super funky today. Sorry. All right, still getting used to the new camera and all that good stuff. Hey, Ashley says, I used this last week. I absolutely love it. So kind of circling back to what Laura said, I want to be able to keep track of all of the things that I need to send people. So what if you spend some time and you have all of your templates built out? Okay, when you have to onboard that new student, you take a moment, you schedule all the emails that have to go out to them in one sitting. And then you're done and you can check those all off of your list. Pretty exciting. All right, so I see some more questions popping into the comments. I'm going to keep going with these tips, and I may come back and answer some of those a little bit later. So let's go on to number 4. We've got 2 more, and then we'll do a speedy recap of all the things. All right, tip number 4, do a mid-month check-in. So this is something that it's just a great way to increase that sense of community and strengthen the relationship between you and the parent or the adult student, right? Halfway through their first month with you, do a check-in. You can do it in a couple of different ways. Sure, you could send an email and check in and say hey, I just wanted to check in and see how you are settling into the studio, and ask them a series of questions, or actually check in with them during their lesson time. Do it face to face, especially if it's an adult student, or if you have the clients coming into your studio and the parents are dropping people off, you can do a check in with them right then, just to say, hey, I wanted to just take a moment and check in to make sure that that you've learned how, do you have any questions about how to use, whatever, my music teacher's help or my music staff, Tanara, if you haven't, do you have any questions with that? How is your practice going at home? Tell me a little bit about what your practice routine is looking like right now, so that you can get out ahead, not just of how to use the things, but really helping them get the most out of their experience. So do that mid-month check-in and see how things are going. Think about, what are the things that my students need in order to succeed, and check on those things. Get specific about it, right? Get specific with, okay, here are the things that I think my students need in order to succeed. Make a list of those things. Ask about those things during lesson time. Another thing that you could do, which would be super cool, this is where we get fancy. Guys want to get fancy again? Make a Google form and have a little check-in for that mid-month, and send them a Google form with a few different questions to get feedback about how things are going. That feedback is going to be really, really valuable for you. It's going to help you know if there are any holes in your onboarding system, or if you need to spend a little bit more time explaining something to somebody, and it's just going to help them feel as though you are really invested, because you are, that you are really invested with their success. So spend time making that part of your practice. Yes, Julie says, I always communicate with the parents in my studio a lot. It makes a huge difference. Exactly. Back when, I was in person, one of the things that I would do between each lesson is spend a bit of time talking to the parents. And I encouraged all of my parents to come into the studio. Now, for the older teens and everything like that, they didn't need to. The teens were responsible for things. But especially with my new students, I made sure to tell them, okay, here are the things that we need to know. Yes, here we go. Laura said, did the check-in recently, and a mom was super appreciative because the first lesson with her 6-year-old daughter was a little rocky. So it's good that we can get out ahead of any potential problems, right? So we are getting out ahead of those things. We're making sure that they are having a good experience. Oh, Tara, thank you so much for answering that question. I really appreciate you doing that. That is awesome. So if anybody was looking for how to use the Gmail templates, Tara has described that there. And there are, if you actually Google how to use Gmail templates, Google has a really nice step-by-step tutorial that shows you how to do it. Or if you look that up on YouTube, there are people that explain it with like a step-by-step. It's awesome. Okay. Yes. Karen says, my studio is small enough that I do regular communication with parents. It's a little harder with online instruction, but I'm going back to in-person in April. Something that I've been doing with online instruction is I've been reaching out to parents. Like if I feel like I'm not seeing enough of them or that they need to get information from me, I'll do a couple of things. One, if I know that they're at home, right, I will actually ask the kid to bring the parent over so that I can chat with them for a second because I miss having that interaction with parents. If they're not at home when the child is having a lesson, then what I can do is reach out to them via text, or I could even jump on the phone with them. Okay, so you're asking about the boomerang extension. What is Tara, tell me what you think is the boomerang extension, because I might be able to answer that. I'm not sure if I missed a specific thing there. Okay, because there are 2 ways to schedule. So if that's what it's about, that'd be interesting. Okay, so tip number 4, do a monthly check-in. Let's keep grooving. We got one more. And this is your big one. Build out your S.O.P. We've already kind of touched on this a little bit. What is an S.O.P? It's a standard operating procedure. So once you have spent time like figuring out how to show and tell, building out your templates, like figuring out how you automate things, all that kind of stuff, sit down and make a list of the things that need to happen. And that is your standard operating procedure. Why do we want to do this? I'll give you a couple reasons why. 1, it is going to help you make less decisions, right? The more decisions we have to make, the more brain power that we're using. We only have so much brain power in a day before we get really tired. So if we have an S.O.P. built out and we can just have a checklist of the things, it's going to make your job easier because you're not going to have to be like remembering, oh, did I do that step? Did I do this step? You have it out in front of you in a clear order. Another reason that you would want to build out an S.O.P. is if you wanted to give this task to somebody else. Let's say that you hired a lesson assistant. I worked with a client, a couple of clients in the last year who have hired assistants to help them with admin tasks, and this, it's not just like hiring a virtual VA or anything like that. I mean, these were parents. These were clients who hired students in their class, or students in their studio, or former students in their studio, and had them as an independent contractor. And what they could do is say, okay, here are the things that you're in charge of. And so building out an S.O.P. can be really helpful so that you can have somebody else do that task. And that's something that I'm doing right now because I've brought somebody on. I have a team now. It's exciting. And some of the things I'm going to be doing, I have been doing, are going to be handed off to somebody else. So I'm in the process of that. And I'm building out S.O.Ps for the Speakeasy Cooperative, where I work on marketing there. So like all of the S.O.Ps are on my mind, right? Laura says, takeaway, S.O.P, my memory is almost non-existent this day. Oh, okay. You were asking the question about, you were answering, Tara, you're amazing. Tara is answering a question. I think Julie made a question earlier. She asked, will it show a red receipt? So Boomerang will actually add a red receipt notification, and Boomerang is a paid service. You do have like free options inside of Boomerang, but Boomerang is a pretty simple paid service. If you are using some type of a MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that, you can see if people have read things, but not inside of, you'll have to have that extra extension there. Hey there, Shirley, nice to see you, friend. All right, so we've gone through the 5 tips. Do you find Boomerang in a website? Boomerang is an extension on Gmail. So if you Google Boomerang for Gmail, you'll get information about that. It's something that you can add to your Gmail account. I have used it in the past, but I'm not using the paid version now. Okay. Whew. Let's pause for a second. Take a deep breath. and let's review through the tips, shall we? You guys ready? Here we go. Whoa, wait, we're gonna do a little clap. I'll tell you why at the end. All right, so today we are talking about rolling out the red carpets for our music students because we want to make them feel special and seen and loved and appreciated. And we want to give them all of the tools, our students and our parents, all of the tools so that they can succeed when they join our music studios. And here is how we do it. There are 5 tips. Here we go. Ready for the 5 tips? Tip number 1, show and tell. Don't just tell people a whole bunch of stuff. Don't just hand them that 10-page studio document. Outline the things that are truly important and give them an opportunity to see how they work. Maybe that's using Loom and making some tutorial videos about how to log into your website or your software or your whatever. Or it's, making a little video with your phone and welcoming them in and with your smiling face. Tip number 2, templates are your friends. Don't waste your time writing out that email. You may be using kind of the same words each time, but if it takes you half an hour to write out that email, put a pause button on that and set aside some time so that you can actually sit down and write out all the templates that you're going to use and save them in a place. Maybe you get fancy and you're using templates inside of Gmail. Maybe you are building those out in another type of email delivery service. Or maybe you just have them in a Word document that you've saved somewhere that you can cut and paste. Whatever level of fancy you want to be, templates are your friend. They will save you time. Tip number 3, automate your processes. Again, you can be fancy or non-fancy. You can use email delivery services to do that. You can use the schedule button in Gmail. You can just have a list of things that you check off as you go so that you know that you are hitting all of those points, right? Tip number 4, do a mid-month check-in. Take a pause, send out a Google form, get some feedback, jump on the phone with the parent. Make sure the parent comes on Zoom, talk to them in person, spend some time asking them how things are going. If they have any questions about any of the tools that you're using, ask them how the practice process is going so that you can really help them make the most out of their time with you. And tip number 5, build out your S.O.P. Make a list of all of these things that we've just talked about and have a place where you can check them off and potentially hand that off to somebody else. All right, so there we go. Those are all of the tips today. If you want to get a hold of those tips in your email, give me an onboarding below and the Savvy Sara bot will set you up. She will also invite you to get a notification for next week's broadcast here on the Book of Faces. And I really appreciate you all being here. I hope if you found this valuable today, if you found this valuable and you enjoyed this, you can show your appreciation in 2 really simple ways. 1, give me some hearts and thumbs up right now. Give me a little fireworks show. 2, if you have a music teacher friend that would appreciate this advice, or if you were a part of a music teacher group or community that could benefit from this, please let them know about it. Sprinkle this their way and let them know that we are here every Wednesday to do the things. I appreciate you all being here. I will be back next week to give you more savvy goodness. And in the meantime, stay savvy and stay you because you're an amazing music teacher and there is nobody in the world quite like you. And I think you're pretty dang awesome. Thanks for being here, everyone. We will see you next week. Bye.